Okay, we're going to talk about Hillandale, and before we get into our actual moving to Hillandale, uh, one of the events that I think is kind of nice. Hillandale was where my grandfather lived and had a
You
garage.
think this event is nice?
Well, I find a good bit of pleasure in this.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm
so
sure you do.
my grandparents lived, and they ran a garage. He was self-employed, and he was meticulous in his yard. His yard was like a golf course, and everything was really nice and fancy. And even before we moved to Hillandale to help live with him, you were riding through the yard one time, innocently, I guess, on Judy's bike.
Judy's bike, yeah.
Judy's bike, and we had seen cowboy shows a lot where the cowboy was riding his horse, and he would.
Cowboy. This is Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers and jump up, grab a branch, and swing, and the bike goes on, and the horse goes on.
Yeah.
Horse goes on. Well, you jumped onto a branch on Grandpap's
Japanese maple tree.
Japanese maple tree, his pride and joy. And when you grabbed, and I remember you yanking, and
It jerked me right off the bike.
It jerked you off the bike, but it also ripped the whole side out of his tree, and you were laying on the ground with the tree on top of
That
you.
branch, yeah.
It was the
Oh yeah, I
funniest
thought it would be
thing.
hanging there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the bike would keep going like Roy Rogers.
It was
and
just
I ended
like,
up on my
oh.
back with, yeah.
We knew there would be problems,
Yeah,
but
there
it
was hell to pay for that.
Yeah, that was just such a funny.
Maybe to you,
Oh,
there was nothing funny about it. To me,
well, it was two junior high young boys just doing what was fun to them. Like when Buck got us the M80s.
yeah, there's cherry bombs.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that was yours.
Wow. Let's see what happens.
Physics. We were science oriented even back then.
Let's get a paint can, and we'll put it under a paint can and see how high in the air it'll go, or will it blow the paint can up, or what's going to happen. So we did that. We just put it right in the middle of his manicured lawn, lit the cherry bomb, and got 30 or 40 feet away from it. And I'll tell you, that paint can went, 100 feet in the air?
It was pretty high.
It was way up there.
Yeah.
And it burned a hole in that yard.
Oh, black. I mean, it was like someone took a torch to that grass.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, I didn't see that coming.
We did not. That was the problem. We didn't have bad intentions. We just, as youngsters, didn't look to that next. We looked to the next step, the can going up.
Yeah, we're worried. We wanted to be
But what about the
safe.
exhaust? We did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what that can could have landed on, and
Yeah, that was
those
another
things,
thing.
and or blew shrapnel into us. We were far enough away, but the lawn took the
yeah.
bullet on that one. It was.
And it was beautiful. The can went straight up and almost landed in the same spot coming down. It was just lovely.
Yeah, which brought our attention to the
To the-
yard for the
that's right.
first time,
That's
because
right.
we're looking up, going, "Wow, that was
Oh, yeah.
awesome." Yeah, that's Buck's fault. I don't think we should have been blamed for that, but
Well, he knew what we were going to do.
yeah.
Well, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
He knew it wasn't going to be good, whatever it was.
well, once we moved in, I think the story that I enjoy is that we had this giant walnut tree in our yard, and that thing is forever dropping walnuts all over the place. And because we're now new renters, we rented from my grandparents. My dad would give us things to do, and I remember one was like, "Boys, I want all these walnuts out of the yard." So
yeah, this was a Saturday morning because he had to work on Saturday. We weren't in school, but it was during school. It was in the fall, and they fell. And what did he tell us? I want these walnuts out of the yard by the time I get home tonight. That's your job. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
We were so
How hard is it to pick up walnuts and put them in a basket and carry them off?
well. I remember somewhere in that crazy. Anyway, just I'll pitch them to you, and you hit them, and we'll knock them over into now. Straight across the creek was the neighbor's yard, and beyond that was the road, the highway where cars would go, and you were pretty good. You could slam those babies, and they were still covered with the green juice and the good covers. I'd pitch those babies to you, and you just cranked them. And after you hit about 30 or 40, you started to get a little bit tired, I think, or whatever. The novelty was kind of wearing off a little bit, whatever.
Here, it's your turn, Tom.
Yeah, and Tom, the non-baseball person who loved baseball and wanted to be a really good ball player, the first friggin' one you threw at me, I hit a foul tip off of that bat. After you had hit them, 40 of them, clear across the road over cars. I mean, it was a pleasure to watch. But my first foul tip goes through the window in the living room. Mom had these satin white curtains. It went through that, blew apart into all those little walnut stains, and proceeded to coat the living room.
And the center part of it hit on the wall right above the couch, in between two paintings that she had on the wall. And she had just painted that room blue. And there was this walnut stain right there. And it wasn't coming off.
And pieces of walnut went through that glass and brought the glass inside as well.
Now, I don't know where Mom was. She wasn't in the house because she didn't know that.
Yeah, we had time. We had time to fix this problem.
So what did we do? Yeah, what did we do? We can recover from this.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we were older. We weren't some rookies, So
that's right. This isn't the first time we've screwed up.
Yeah. We took our Mercury 53 Merc that we had customized a little bit.
It was pink,
and it had a Hearst floor shift that
we installed ourselves.
We installed ourselves. We cut a big hole up. Bottom Dad was a little upset about that. But anyway, we rushed down to Clinton to the hardware store to get our pane of glass. And I remember in the excitement, we ran out of gas coming into Clinton.
This part I don't remember.
We ran out of gas coming into Clinton. And of course, I'm pushing now because I got to push the car.
Because you don't know how to drive.
Well, I don't remember why, but you let me push. That was really nice of you. But then it's getting harder and harder, and we have a flat tire. I didn't. At which point you took your fist, and it had a really beautiful green. They had metal dashboards on the cars back then. That was a 53 Mercury. And you took your fist and smashed the speaker and dented it in half the size of a fist. And of course, we're now sitting half in the road, half out of the road. We have to put the spare tire on. Then we have to go to the gas station, which wasn't that far away, and then get gas. Then we had to go and get the glass to fix all that. So
it was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
But we did. And we repaired the glass. We picked up all the pieces. I don't remember what we did about the curtain. I can't remember that. But I do remember that the stain, we took the pictures down. We moved the holes 3 inches to the right, both of them. Put them back in. Hung it up. And the picture covered that stain. Mother never knew that stain was there until we moved out. Yeah, we covered our tracks pretty well on that.
Well, a similar event was similar event. We had Grandpap. We heated the house with coal, and so Grandpap took his wrecker and he would buy coal in the wrecker, and we had to then shovel off the back of the wrecker into the coal bin.
Well, it's. Yeah, and the heat was steam heat, and the boiler was down below ground level. He had this pit in the middle, in the edge of the garage, and so it was way below the floor level. And then the bin was behind that. So he had a chute that you just had to throw it in the chute and it would ride down there. That wasn't good enough for us.
Well, it was because I think he bought coal that was big chunks.
Yeah, he did.
And you can't throw the big chunks. You have to break the big chunks up before you put them in the coal bin or into the chute. So we got the bright idea. All we have to do is take the big chunks of coal and throw them with some velocity down into the coal bin.
But that's at an angle, and there's only an opening that's like 3 feet high and about 6 feet wide. So we have to throw them through that opening to get them in there.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't know who did it, but one of us was off just a little bit, and on the side of that opening is a water pipe. We hit that water pipe with chunk of coal that you couldn't have cut it better with a laser beam. I mean, it just snapped, water sprays out, and now the whole system's going to go down because it's hot, it's got steam, it's got no water, and we got a broken pipe. So we had to, again,
turn the water off, turn the steam off, get in the Pink Mercury, back down to Clinton.
To the hardware store.
To the hardware store.
Same guy.
Oh, yeah, boys. What'd you break this time? Yeah. And we got, I don't know, another pipe, went back, repaired it.
Yeah, we
And
fixed
this one turned out fine. We didn't ruin anything. We repaired it. It didn't leak. And
I don't think anybody knew about
I don't
that
think
one.
they did either.
We got away with that one.
we did.
We did just one more garage thing, and then I'll shut up about that.
Oh, my
but
God.
I remember innocently, we were in, Grandpap's garage had like maybe room for 6, 7 cars, and it was like the part where he did inspections was up a little higher, and then down further into the garage was a bigger area. So for some reason there were no cars in this whole area, and
The lower area.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
from one side to the other. So we found this fan belt, and like a frisbee, we're just throwing this fan belt back and forth. You were
remember.
way up at one end, I was down at the other. We're innocently just throwing a fan belt. How bad can 2 boys get into?
How bored can you be to be throwing a fan belt
Well,
back and
that's
forth?
true. But little did we realize, right where Grandpap was doing inspections, he had a spotlight that would shine down where he'd check the wheels and tires and things. That fan belt caught that spotlight and, of course, ripped it out of its socket and then smashed glass all over the friggin' garage. We swept glass for a long time. A long time.
I remember doing that. I don't remember the ramifications.
Yeah, I don't think, we got yelled at a lot, and it was kind of at that point, you pretty much just go away. You just go hide somewhere else.
And it goes away.
and it really isn't a big issue. So,
Those things, that was when we were pretty young, as I recall. I don't think.
when we first started. Oh, yeah. We
that-
were bored. I mean,
Oh, yeah, we were.
kids, summer, and so...
We had some crazy things with Dad. He was, I think back on him when we lived there. We were in our early teens, so that put Dad, what? He's 20 years, he's 30, he's getting close to 40, right? He comes home from work, and I know half the nights he came home from work, we would attack him and wrestle him, and he would wrestle with us. I mean, that had been going on for most of our lives, but now you and I are on the wrestling team. And if you remember, the yard where you come out of the kitchen, there's just a small yard, and then there's a bank that goes down 12, 15 feet into a creek. And it's a steep bank.
Mm-hmm.
And we would wrestle, and it was unspoken, but the objective was to throw the other one in the creek, down the bank and into the creek. So Dad, who is 3 times stronger than either one of us,
But there's 2 of us.
there's 2 of us, and so he would always get one of us just with sheer strength and throw us in the creek. We come crawling back up, and every now and again we would throw him in the creek. Now he's in his work clothes, his work shoes, all green, and now what? We're all into this. What I never realized, because you're so self-contained into your life, until one day we're up playing baseball at the baseball field, and a guy walks up to me. He says, "You know, I was really startled for a second when I saw you and your dad and your brother fighting." He said, "Then I realized you guys were just playing, throwing each other into the creek." He went, "We stood there and watched you for 10 or 15 minutes. The most entertaining thing I've seen in a long time." Just now, I had seen the guy before. I didn't know who he was. I'd seen him around. He's been at ball games. I'd seen him in the garage. But yeah, we were entertainment for some people.
Well, you know, that wrestling thing, actually, for me, I remember we started doing that in Burgettstown. And we watched TV wrestling. Dad was a TV wrestling crazy person. So anyway, you and him were pretty much, and I was just a little kid on the side. And I remember one time, I got him in a scissors with my legs, and you were wrestling the top part of him, and I had him around the middle part with my scissors, and I stretched out and squeezed and shook him as hard as I could. I cracked his rib, and it was the first time I, a little boy, could hurt my dad. He hobbled around, went to work every day, but
With a cracked rib?
With a cracked rib.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, that was so funny. It was, but anyway.
Not for him.
No, not for him. But okay, push that little red button and let's